Trying to figure out how we gon' get this bread right. Life a blindside you, so it's best to prepare right. It take one night, wrong place, and the wrong time. It can change. Growing up is never like you planned. Shout out the people that did struggle.
Hey guys, so this week on Angels Finance, we're going to be talking about the different sectors in the market and how you can kind of diversify your portfolio so you can meet your goals and be able to invest in the market safely and be covered in case of any events. Last week we spoke about building a portfolio, which if you haven't watched it already, I would also recommend as well. But today, let's get into it. The market, while it may be classified in terms of certain areas of production, like tech, you have media, and things of that nature, the market can also be looked at as just how you classify a stock. So you have your typical blue chips, those are going to be your Apples, your Facebooks, your Microsofts. We're going to get into those a bit later. You have your speculative, which companies that haven't turned a profit yet but are still highly anticipated and really volatile right now. You also do have your defensive stocks, which are always going to be staying in terms of things that people need. You also have your healthcare industry and you have your cyclical, which also depend on the current trend of the economy. So those fluctuate as well, similar to speculative, but a bit more depending on what season we're in or just how the economy in general is doing. You also do have your growth stocks and you also have your dividend-based stocks, which show areas of tremendous improvement and also areas that you're paid for owning. But we'll get into those individually later and we'll talk about what makes each of those sectors important. If we want to get started, the biggest area that we can start with is blue chip companies. Blue chip companies are companies that have been proven to perform whether you're having a good time or bad. They have been also in every major area of the market, so not only in tech, but they're also going to be in media. They're going to be able to perform through any kind of diversity. So a lot of the companies that you think of when you think of blue chip are going to be Apple, Disney, Microsoft, Boeing, Berkshire Hathaway, and pretty much any other company with major market caps. So those companies, while they may be massive, in the market they have really small movement, but those companies perform really well because they have technically products everywhere. The reason why Apple is probably one of the most valuable companies on the planet, it's because one, the market cap is $2 trillion. So in actual reality, Apple's price may be $133, but the entire value of the company is worth $2 trillion. Now, if you want to take a look at the reason why, it's because Apple's in pretty much every sector you can think of. They're in banks because they partner with Goldman and Sachs to make the Apple Card. They're in phones and electronics and techs because they make MacBooks, they make iPhones, they make AirPods, they pretty much make any accessory you can think of. They're in media because they're also able to have streaming services that partner with other providers, so Apple TV mainly. They're in pretty much anything you could think of. I'm pretty sure Apple is respectively in that sector. They're also going to be in cars coming soon because Lord knows Apple's developing a car and it's going to be one of the, I would say probably the biggest move for any blue chip company to be making that's not already in that auto industry. So going forward, Apple is going to retain its blue chip certification, but the market cap can only get higher. So how much will Apple be worth in 5 years? We don't know, but it's going to maintain a blue chip certification because of how much money it's worth in every single sector it's in that's bringing in money. So that's kind of what goes into Apple being valued as so much, because now you shift into other companies that are in media, like for example another blue chip, Disney. They recently just launched their Disney Plus streaming service, and while they do great there, as for that product to be relatively new, there's other areas where they succeed. So they're not just limited to streaming because they have their Disney Plus amusement parks. They have cruises as well, which affect the travel industry, which hasn't been doing all too well because of this COVID pandemic, but nonetheless, it's made Disney a significant amount of money over the past 5-10 years. You also do have them being licensed in other areas of the market like media because they have ESPN, they have Hulu, and they have various other companies that they have stakes in that produce not only images that they own or likenesses like the MCU, but they also have their recent partnership with Netflix, which resulted in 4 highly anticipated TV shows that were later canceled, yes, but still made Disney a lot of money. Now, the next area of the market that you can look at is growth. Growth stocks are companies that are always looking to grow and expand. And I know it's weird for you to hear the next stock that I'm going to say, but honestly, one of the biggest growth stocks that we have in the past 5 years is Amazon. Nobody anticipated digital sales to be taking off the way it has. In today's age, you can pretty much pick up your phone and be able to order any and everything. And that has boosted the price of Amazon tremendously. Amazon is worth over $3,000 a share, and it's in competition with Tesla for the market cap, and honestly, it has done tremendously well. They recently reported a $100 billion quarter, which is really tremendous for a company that not only is only online, but they have no physical stores at all. There's nothing you can do inside of an Amazon store that you can't do online, and they're in every single aspect because they sell pretty much anything you can think of. So besides Amazon, two other good growth companies are going to be Peloton and iRobot. iRobot, everybody knows them. They're the small little vacuum robots that clean your home automatically for you. During quarantine, those also saw a recent surge because, of course, people want their homes to stay clean during all this entire pandemic going on. So it offered a cleaning solution. And Peloton, on the other hand, so gyms being closed, kind of forced people to not only have to exercise inside their homes, but Peloton offers you the ability to buy a machine where you can not only do all your daily activities, but you also can compete with people who you also know go to the gym as well. So those two companies are going to be seeing a really high trend going forward. In terms of where I think they can go, I would say Peloton has a really long way to go because of how diverse their machines are. And iRobot, while I may say I prefer to do my own cleaning, not everybody feels that way, and for it to be surging the way it has during quarantine is also a really good sign as well. So both those companies have a pretty high trajectory, and who knows where their market cap can go to. Going forward, we have dividend stocks. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I like to be rewarded for when I make purchases. I've told you guys that on my credit card videos and now again on the stock market. So dividends, again, are portions of the company's profits that are being paid directly to you as a consumer. If you wanted to get into a really good dividend stock, Coca-Cola, AT&T, Pepsi, if I'm not mistaken, American Express also offers one really well, and Verizon as well. So all those companies, they pay a really good dividend. I don't care how they're doing, because as long as I'm being rewarded for owning them, I know I'm going to be great at the end of the quarter. So going forward, just always be able to make sure you have a few dividends in your portfolio, because if you're going to be able to move forward in this market, you got to play it safe a bit, and dividend stocks are the kind of the safest way to go outside of bonds. So the next area we have is speculative stocks. So speculative stocks are stocks that are often looked at as highly volatile because they can go up and down in a whim. They make people a lot of money, and they also lose people a lot of money. So three of the biggest speculative stocks that I can think of are going to be Tesla, AMC, and GameStop. Now, we recently saw the war between Wall Street bets and hedge funds, which resulted in GameStop reaching prices that it hasn't seen in almost a decade. And people made millions. Realistically, it was, I can't even think of the word to describe that, but in any event, companies like that, they are always in the gray area of, hey, where are they going to be going forward? It's not really a matter of question of profits, but more so a matter of how can they sustain how they're performing. Now, I can't think of any logical person that says that GameStop is going to be in business for much longer, but GameStop and AMC aside, Tesla is one of the really companies where it's just a lot of question marks because they're making a profit, yes, but it's just like, where do they go going forward with a lot of electronic vehicles popping up that can either disrupt their level of competition and then also create a bigger one as well. So they're a company people are going to have their eye on for like the next 5 or so years. Granted, they're worth $800, but where are they going that's going to keep that cap going up as well as that stock price? Now, defensive stocks are pretty much the next area I want to talk about. Defensive kind of keeps stocks that are always going to be of consumer use. So places like Walmart, Johnson & Johnson, and Waste Management. People always need their garbage to be taken out. Doesn't matter where you live, you always got to take care of your garbage. Walmart, they have pretty much every major electronic you could think of as well as groceries. So people are always going to be able to go there and shop. Johnson & Johnson, not only do they employ a lot of Band-Aids, they also help with the vaccine for COVID, and they have several other areas where they're also impactful, but those are stocks that people are always going to rely on. No matter what, whether it's raining, snowing, doesn't matter. People are always going to be shopping with those companies or buying products that those companies either make or sell. Those three companies also do pay a really good dividend. I would say that if you're looking to mix your portfolio or diversify, you could try looking between defensive as well as dividend-based stocks because not only are they growing as well, but they're paying you for owning them as a share. So, great area to look at. I would say going forward, Walmart is going to be a pretty heavy play because they're trying to compete more with Amazon in terms of how fast they can deliver products to you and what they sell. So, they're going to be a really good area going forward, and I would just say keep an eye on them. The last area of the market I want to talk about is something that moves and goes with, let's say, I want to say the times. So cyclical stocks. So cyclical stocks are companies that often invest in things that aren't needed but more so desired. And when they aren't desired, of course, the industry is plummeting. So again, last year and this year as well, COVID happened, or is happening, I should say. A lot of not only travel industries, but a lot of residential areas also took a big hit on that because people weren't going to hotels, people weren't flying, people weren't going on cruises. So you got to think every single area of the market that was heavily invested in those stocks plummeted. I don't know if you saw Norwegian Cruise Line during that time. Delta, JetBlue, all those companies were literally plummeting because nobody was using them as a service anymore. They became something that just did not seem viable in a time when people were going through a pandemic that we still don't know nothing about. So those stocks move and sway with the market as well as public opinion. I would say that if you're going to do those, be prepared to lose money because, again, those are really receptive on public opinion. But as usual, you do have your wide variety of stocks that you can invest in. I will also say that any person who's going to be investing money to diversify your portfolio. That is the biggest area where I feel like we struggle with because we think that we can throw $100 at Tesla and we'll see $1,000 the next day when that's far from the case. Learn to diversify your money and you'll be safe in regards of if we're having a recession or if we're just going through one hell of a bull market, which we are going through because the Dow just hit its all-time high again. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. Andrew's Finance is now on Twitter as well, so you guys can follow us there. We're on every single social media platform, Facebook, Instagram, as well as we're coming out with Podbean. So we're going to be having a podcast sometime soon. But I do appreciate you guys. Finance Fridays continue as usual, and thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you have any questions, feel free to DM me. I'll be always able to assist you as well as answer them if you need be. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Headlights, we trying to figure out how we gon' get this bread right. Life a blindside, so it's best to prepare right. It take one night, wrong place, in the wrong time, it can change. Growing up is never like you planned. Shout out the people that did struggle with no help.